Well, another day in the markets. What is going on, everybody? Danger still lurks, at least according to JP Morgan. We've got some latest updates for you on the Japanese stock markets. I know. Last week, none of us cared. This week, we all have to become experts on what's happening in Japan. Hey, by the way, Arthur Hayes, CEO of BitMEX, he just released a great article on this. He's got a pretty good insight on it, so go check out what he has to say. But anyway, we're going to be breaking down today what the latest news headlines are regarding the Japanese carry trade, what's happening with Bitcoin, some ETH stuff. We got a lot to get to, so let's get into it. Of course, save your questions. Second half of the stream, we'll be answering those best we can. So let's get it. JP Morgan, danger lurks ahead. There be monsters in those waters. The Japanese yen carry trade unwinding is only 50% complete, warns JP Morgan. Interesting. Says we aren't done by any stretch. Global FX strategy co-head says the move comes amid fears of U.S. recession, Japan rate hike, etc. So interesting. Look. JP Morgan, can't trust them as far as you can throw them, okay? These guys, master bullshitters. However, I think a lot of other analysts are out there saying that the Japanese carry trade. So in case you're not familiar with what carry trade is yet, I feel like everyone's talking about it. Essentially, super low interest rates in Japan. You had a situation where people were borrowing against those super low interest rates, getting yen, taking it, buying, U.S. treasury bonds or U.S. stocks or whatever to get higher yields and arbitraging the difference. Well, with the yen collapsing, interest rates rising in Japan, people are now starting to unwind that. Of course, the Fed can't afford to let that happen. Yeah, BJ says Japan did a 180, quickly folded on the hikes. JPY carry trade unwind over for now. We're safe, potentially. Samantha here saying, disagree with Bloomberg. The unwinding of massive leverage associated with the carry trade is not all yen carry trade and could very much be a repeat of 2008. That's in response to pain from yen carry trade and likely to see a 2008 repeat. As painful as the unwinding the yen carry trade is, it's unlikely to trigger the same kind of systemic risk as was during the Great Financial Crisis. One key difference is that the foreign banks borrowing in yen has collapsed since 2008, but that indicator, the contagion from the Forex markets to the banking system, is limited. The Japanese have not been the only ones doing the carry trade. The Japanese carry trade is definitely the big one when it comes down to it. So could there be more dysfunction? There could always be dysfunction in markets, but the Fed probably doesn't want to see this happen. I imagine that Janet Yellen has been on the phone all weekend with the Bank of Japan trying to figure out a way to avoid the worst possible scenarios. Look at this. The Japanese stock markets, man, we're bouncing back. Still under the 200-day exponential moving average. So, it's a nice bounce so far, retracing a good percentage of the move. Let's just throw this up here just out of curiosity. So from the peak down 25%, which is insane for a market the size of Japan, bounce so far about 15% back up. Huge moves in these markets. Bank of Japan's Uchida won't raise rates when the market is unstable. This goes back to what BJ just said a second ago, that they're backing down. Iceberg said, can't stand doomers. Fei Zhao here saying they're trapped. They can't kick the can anymore. If there's one thing in life I know, it's that a central banker can kick that MFing can, and they sure can. They sure can. Raoul Powell weighing in. Why have a crisis with minus 50% that leads to a death spiral when you just have 8% per annum debasement instead? Once you understand that, it all makes sense and you can invest accordingly. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Maybe we have avoided the worst for now with them saying, well, we're not going to raise rates while the market is unstable. That Japanese yen carry trade will be this specter out there when it starts to unravel again. Well, watch out. You see how the market reacted this time. QE Infinity saying this is not the sign of a healthy market. Are there interventions going on that we don't know about? Absolutely not. Of course, these is in response to the Nikkei recovering all of its historical losses from yesterday and cruising up a bit higher. It's absolute insanity. Of course, there's probably some kind of credit swap line being set up now, because last thing the Fed wants is for the Bank of Japan to start unloading $1 trillion of US treasuries to try to shore up the yen. That's bad for everybody. So the Fed has probably put some, let's say, commitments in place to the Bank of Japan. Very interesting to see. Donnelly Brent saying, in case you're curious, after turnaround Tuesday, Wednesday is usually mildly bullish. This is after these sort of big moves in the market. Thursday, uber bearish for stocks, given the rapid 45-degree upward trend in the NASDAQ data, 1999 to now. It's very rare to do a study of equity performance with a sample size of 30 and get a negative average return. Thursdays after turnaround, Tuesday average minus 0.8%. It's probably a mean reversion as the weekend approaches and scary things are still scaring people. There you go. Neo says, so when they do these credit swaps, is that going to be good for Bitcoin? Probably, because the Federal Reserve's probably going to have to start intervening much more in markets, particularly those international markets, right? Be interesting to see what the official response is going to be from Jenny Yellen, the Treasury, Jerome Powell, the Fed. And probably we're still on for that September rate cut. A lot of people saying that if the Fed actually does come out with an emergency rate cut, it's probably a sign that's showing the markets actually we're freaking out. And this is a sign of weakness, not a sign of strength. They want to cut in at least perceived strength, all that kind of stuff. Hi from Fairbanks. The blueberries are ripe for pick in August in Fairbanks, Alaska, man. There you go. Probably one of the few nice times a year. I'm sure Fairbanks is nice with all the snow and stuff in winter. Anyway, this is a story that's been getting a lot of press. I know we brought this up the other day, but it's very important to think about. The USA is about to launch a $50 billion treasury buyback program. $8.5 billion in August, $31.5 billion in September. Man, September's got a lot of stuff lining up for it, doesn't it? We have rate cuts coming. We have $30 billion of treasury buybacks from the frickin' Federal Reserve. Plus, we have everybody getting back to work. Man, August is always kind of a meh month, a crisis, of course. It's just extra cherry on top, isn't it? But when Wall Street gets back to work, everybody gets off the beach in the Hamptons, and everybody gets off of, gets back from Positano in Italy and all that stuff. Okay, enough time on the Amalfi Coast, everybody. Get back and pump up Bitcoin, please. It'd be great. Anyway, a lot of positive catalysts coming in September. Just have to grind through August until we get the exciting things. Jordy Alexander here saying, didn't realize how bad it got in treasury liquidity. In response to this here, I'll read a statement first. During the peak of the 2020 COVID spike, I remember being more or less the only one quoting the back of the treasury curve. Market was almost empty. Otherwise, if we're now twice that, I can only imagine. As a market maker, if the volume is massive, you can only rely on spreads between the other bonds to provide liquidity. Outright Delta 1 quoting, when there's no one else quoting and takers will slice through your bids like hot butter. Surefire way to get tapped out. Even spreads can't be too comfortable in these conditions, for if it is to get this low level of liquidity, and indeed it's hard to have a strong view on the curve shape, yes, they will cut, but who knows how fast. And if it's too fast, then 30s will actually start going down instead of up 30-year bonds. It's possible then we can get a normal uninverted yield curve, but instead of it signifying a healthy market, that's the real recession sign, because it signifies that no one wants to hold long-term paper. Indeed, we're getting a U curve on yields already, and this doesn't surprise me with the Japanese exiting. Buying the back of the curve will be like staking your V curve rewards in 2021 for 4 years to get max rewards, quote unquote. Good luck with your 30-year coupons when the notional is getting demolished. That's in response to Jim Bianco's The State of Bond Market Liquidity. Higher means worse liquidity. It's interesting now that the yield curve hasn't quite uninverted. We're, according to the Federal Reserve, yield curve is about 0.09% away from uninverting. The closest we've been to uninverting for the yield curve in quite a while now. So when we get the yield curve uninversion, that's typically the recession signal. Now, we've had a lot of other recession signals. We have the Sandler-Piper rule. We have the SAM rule, both indicating recession coming in the cards soon. But then you have this conflict where we had 2.6, 2.8% GDP growth for U.S. markets Q2. When the yield curve uninverts, and look, we're in a wild age of central bank money printing and massive market manipulations by central banks. And we can go back to that Raoul Pal statement. Do they really want a massive economic crisis on their hands, or do they just want to continue massive monetary debasement and kick the can down the road for as long as they possibly can? Maybe. Historically, when the yield curve uninverts, you have about 6 months or so before the recession actually hits. For example, the yield curve uninverted in 2007 before the 2008 crash. Had about 6 months. So markets still went up for a final hurrah before things got really ugly. Is that what's going to happen this time? I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. But certainly a lot of things are making people worry in the markets, let's say. Probably a simple way to say it. Octavio saying, a reminder that such high levels of market concentration don't usually rebalance easily. This is a concentration of the U.S. equity market only reduced slightly. In fact, last time we saw this degree of distortion was the 1929 peak. 1929 is a combination of numbers I've heard far too many times in recent months, with everything blah, 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 worst since 1929. So a recession is going to come. The only question is when, and do we get a final wild rally in the market before the big one hits? He says, look, I'm not suggesting a Great Depression is imminent. That would be overly presumptuous. And of course, these times are different, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Joe says, we need to remember recession is not a crash. It's true. It's true. Recession does not necessarily equate to giant crash. And you can have a shallow recession. You will see the doomers out there constantly. Everything's always basically the end. The end times. The Great Depression's always around the corner. So keep that in mind. Hey, real quick shout out to today's sponsor, by the way, before we get into the charts, all the Bitcoin news, try and get through the rest of all the fun stuff we got here. So if you want a way to have tax-free, tax-efficient, yes, you heard that right, crypto trading, you might want to look into what iTrust is doing. So you can buy and sell a wide range of the top crypto coins, Avalanche, Bitcoin. They even got meme coins on here, all kinds of stuff. Solana, all your favorite coins. You can do that 24/7, 365, like the crypto markets, unlike the boomer markets, which are only open Monday to Friday, excluding bank holidays. You'll not only enjoy those tax advantages, but you can even do in-kind withdrawals in the future. So you can actually custody your own Bitcoin at some point in the future if you want to. They have gold and silver, real stuff via the partnership with Gitco is a nice way to bank out some profits, right? Pretty cool stuff. Low costs, no monthly fees, and you can get a $100 sign-up bonus when using the link down below in the description. So if you want to enjoy tax-free crypto, check it out. Check it out. Link down below. Thanks again to iTrust for sponsoring today's stream. So, price of Bitcoin. We have had a decent bounce back so far. Going down below the range support area, but not by much. You can just say, well, that was sort of a capitulation candle. Therefore, perhaps that's not super valid in terms of talking about the range. We're recovering within the range right now. Maybe we'll see things be kind of okay in the next few weeks or few months, right? Recovery is possible. But until we get that decisive break of 72K, which feels kind of far away right now, because it is kind of far away right now, it's kind of on hold your horses mode, let's say. Doesn't mean you can't be buying. In fact, buying here, if you had cash, I didn't. If you had cash, buying there, of course, probably great long-term opportunity. Buying under the 200-day EMA, probably great long-term opportunity. What happens in markets over the next few weeks? Nobody really knows. We all have our speculations. September's got a lot of very positive catalysts coming, so we could still have a pretty mediocre August. World War III not breaking out, of course, would be great. And then September could be great. So we'll see. We'll see. And everybody wants to rush in and hope that, you know, things are going to immediately reverse and go back to complete normal. But often these sort of cracks in the market can have longer lasting effects. For example, Rex Proof here sharing this chart. Aggressive sell-off would assume price to stall for a bit and to give us a range. So you can look back here to 2021 as an example. Huge sell-off in the market. Not as big what we've seen currently, but previously. In 21, much bigger breakdown, but then you establish the range. You have an initial rally. Everybody gets very excited. They get a bit trapped, right? And then we see a lower range develop. Not saying that's going to happen this time, but if that did happen, you could potentially see retaps of those upper 40K ranges. Just not, nobody knows what's going to happen. No crystal balls around here. We're just talking about how things can play out in the markets. Besides in saying it will take time to heal, at least 2 months, like other sell-offs. Perhaps. This is a chart right here. Where are we at? Oh, I've got it all messed up, don't I? Howie, I'll be back here. Hold on a second. I wanted to show you real quick what the COVID sell-off looked like. Here we go. Here it is. I don't know how I got all messed up there. So the COVID crash, the big one, right, which is much more serious than what's happened recently. I know the Japanese yen carry trade unwinding is potentially a very impactful event, but not quite on par with global pandemic and total shutdown of the world economy. Anyway, price of Bitcoin back then crashed 65% between 13th of February and the 12th of March, within a month. It's a crazy month. This day, when Bitcoin crashed from 8K down to 4K. I actually got lower on some exchanges. I remember seeing it down at mid threes or something like that. It was a brutal day. If you were here during that day, it really felt like, dude, crypto is going to zero. A wild time to hold through. But what then happens? We have aggressive recovery. And it does take a while to reestablish itself. People need to go lick their wounds, right? A lot of people got washed out completely. I know you guys, again, rose the heck out of me for me letting myself get greedy and take those loans versus my Bitcoin and Ethereum, because it meant that I did have to wind down some positions at an absolutely terrible time. Shit happens. But some people, I've seen posts of people getting liquidated for people who've been in the market for years, gone, totally washed out on this recent move. So be careful out there, guys. Be careful out there. Markets can be crazy. And while a lot of people are going to want to immediately rush back into the markets and go, well, that was it. It's over. Straight back up only. Historically speaking, such traumatic market events do take a little bit of time to recover. It took us 2 months, for example, to recover back to baseline for Bitcoin post this mess here. Not saying that's what's going to happen this time, but it's historical data for you to consider, okay? Milky Bull, high probability of V-shaped recovery, similar to it did in 2020. Remember, VIX in this cycle witnessed the highest surge for the first time since 2020. That's right. We had the highest VIX reading since a while. Yeah, a while. One of the worst VIX readings since the 2008 GFC and the COVID crisis. So, as we said yesterday, slightly bad jobs reports. Of course, there's a lot of other stuff going on, but be interesting to see if markets kind of play out like that. But again, don't bet on it going immediately back up. Maybe it does. Maybe Wall Street just looks at Bitcoin, goes, yo, let's just buy like crazy. It's going to be nuts. I don't discount the possibility, but that V-shaped recovery could take a couple months to play out. Maybe August is that month. September, rate cuts come, then we're off to the races. Between September and the elections in America, things could get really, really crazy. For reference here as well, Equimetric sharing Bitcoin is experiencing one of the worst corrections in the last decade, which is insane because we're still up here, man. It's nuts. It's nuts. Anyway, the negative returns of Bitcoin over the past 6 days are worse than 90% of the drops Bitcoin experienced in the same time frame over the last 10 years. At its lowest point, it was even worse than 95% of the 6-day corrections in the last decade. Crazy, crazy stuff here. Julio Moreno here saying the bull market cycle indicator has flagged bear phase high blue area for the first time since January 2023. Other periods when it flagged bear phases for a limited period were the COVID sell-off, Chinese mining ban in 21. It then correctly anticipated the start of the bear market in 21. So it's not to say that, we're entering a bear market now. Obviously, bear markets will come. I feel like it's way too early for that. Who knows? Markets are crazy, man. I still think we get that nice Q4 rally. Maybe it extends into Q1 25 before we see some real dysfunction in the markets. That's current thoughts. We'll, of course, update closer to the time. But food for thought. Food for thought. Those readings is not to say this is definitely a bear market cycle with this reading. It's to say that we reach those lower levels, right, where markets take a very rough turn. And remember, for Bitcoin, where is our Bitcoin chart at? For Bitcoin right now, we are still trading under the 200-day EMA. So nice rally in the last couple of days. Nice to see it bounce back hard like that. Still under the 200-day EMA. When we're under the 200-day EMA, that's the bull bear line. That's the bull bear line, right? We can have short-term bearish trends. We just don't want it to develop into a long-term bearish trend, right? We want to see, ideally, when we do come back up, to retest the 200-day EMA, to not get stuck there and to have it be the kiss of death, as it's called, where you get the bearish retest for heading back down. You want to take it out with a bit of conviction, nice green candle over that, some volume backing it, some excitement backing it, right? That's the idea anyway. Couple more thoughts. We'll get into your questions real quick. Let's skip over these. Maybe we'll get to those tomorrow. I wanted to talk real quick about Ethereum. Ethereum, largely on the same path as Bitcoin, sold off a little bit worse, to be honest, than Bitcoin, but recovering in a relatively similar fashion at the moment. BlackRock daily ETH flows $108 million. BlackRock ETF buyers are buying Ethereum. They're buying Bitcoin. Milk Road sharing, despite all the FUD, Grayscale has almost finished dumping Ethereum into the market. Flows have turned positive again. Yesterday was the second biggest day of inflows. This might be the catalyst for a recovery after the bloodbath we got yesterday. Could be. All leverage has been ripped out of the market for the most part, or most of the leverage has been ripped out of the market. And now, with Grayscale flows slowing down, maybe we can start seeing ETH rally finally. Come on, Ethereum. Come on. Interesting NASDAQ and BlackRock filings for options on spot Ethereum ETFs posted on the SEC site. That could be interesting. Of course, the GOAT Solana. Jeez Louise, man, look at this thing. Up almost 40% today from the, not 40% today, but 40% from a few days ago. Crazy. Solana, the coin of the cycle, the strong coin of the cycle. Absolutely crazy. Even I'm thinking, you know what? With some of my newfound cash, maybe I should go back in, buy some Solana, but maybe we'll wait a few days, see what happens. Right? Maybe wait a few days, see what happens. See how the markets play out. Anyway, let's talk. What do you guys want to talk about today? Of course, we need to hydrate. Don't forget to hydrate, ladies and gentlemen. Sailor hosting next year's Maxi Bitcoin conference at McDonald's. It does feel like that. Lark, what are your thoughts on Nairo? Nairo on Ethereum. I think that's one that's been generally chosen by the market as being the Nero. Yeah. I don't know. I've almost been thinking, should I throw a few bucks into it? Maybe. Is it getting enough of a cultish backing that it could be a multi-billion-dollar market cap dog coin? I don't know. But you see a lot of people talking about, a lot of attention it's getting right now. Perhaps it's one to watch. Meridian Heights says, Lark sold at the bottom. Seriously. I did. Well, as we discussed previously, we don't have to go back over the whole situation. Essentially, I took loans versus my Bitcoin and Ethereum as collateral. Those loans were starting to get too close for comfort to their liquidation points. So I unloaded a bunch of my altcoin bags. I know. Got greedy. What are you going to do, man? Can't always do it perfectly. So I had to unload some of those. Now, it's not the worst thing in the world. A lot of these positions were actually pretty well in profit. Like I sold my injective bags, and lots of love for injective. Has been a great ride, but I sold it like 20x profits. I've been holding this thing since 21, right? Been great. It's made so much money off that coin. Took profits on it early, sold money, staked it. Staking rewards were insane, made truckloads of money. Now it was part of helping me, bail myself out of those loan positions. Was it a great time to sell? The worst time to sell. The worst time to sell. Was it a great time to buy? Absolutely. Did I have cash on hand? No. So, shit happens in markets. The portfolio lives on to fight another day. Still have the vast majority of my crypto coins, but those loans were bothering me. I needed to unwind them. And I was looking today just to confirm what the numbers were, but I got about within 16% away, or 13%. It was 13%. I think 13% for the Bitcoin and 16% for the Ethereum. They were, anyway, close enough to where those liquidation points were by the bottom of the thing. Now, I'd already taken the profits on the altcoins by the time the market was like bottoming. But yeah, anyway, egg on my face. What are you going to do? Again, you guys can feel free to roast me about that. Still have truckloads of crypto, guys. Don't worry. We're fine. Punjabi Sloth says, if you could pick only one, AVAX or Link. Well, two very different assets. I own both. I'm bullish on both. Okay. So let's make that clear to start with. Apples and oranges, man. Apples and oranges. I mean, look, Chainlink's a fundamental part of technology for the cryptocurrency markets. It's also kind of nerdy. Doesn't get the price love that it should sometimes. I feel like AVAX has a probably pretty strong community vibe behind it. Big growing layer of layer ones building on top of it that could have some real traction for it. So yeah, gun to the head, I'd say AVAX, but I own both. So there you go. Lark, is Litecoin safe right now? Dan, I'm not a big fan of Litecoin overall. I'm sure it'll do fine this cycle. I just don't think that it gets the excitement of a lot of other stuff. I was thinking about this the other day. Look how many coins are just not getting much attention at all. It's crazy. Look where the liquidity's gone in the market. Solana, very, very strong, right? And lots of great opportunities on Solana, for example, even trading and stuff like that, spot holdings, whatever. Litecoin, man, I don't hear that many people asking me about Litecoin these days. I don't see many people talk about it. I know it's still where is it at? Top 50 coin or something like that. Let's just have a quick look. Where is old Litecoin at these days? Probably higher than makes sense. Number 22. That's crazy. $4 billion market cap. Crypto markets are irrational. Litecoin doesn't really have, in my opinion, a very strong use case these days. Although one saving grace for Litecoin, Fidelity has started allowing trading of it recently. And maybe you get a Litecoin ETF, which could bring TradFi money to Litecoin. I don't think Grayscale's got huge amounts of Litecoin they could dump. Maybe there's something there. But no one's going for that yet. But people are going for the Solana ETF because they know what people want and where the money is. Oh my gosh. You can't make a baby, the Buffett quote, you can't make a baby in 1 month getting 9 girls pregnant. Oh my gosh. Milkshake Memory says narrow 70% of supply is owned by one person and 1,000 wallets. I don't know. I've not looked into it yet. But if that's true, that's problematic. I don't know if it's one person or if was like the deployment address and they've dispersed it out to a variety of insiders? Probably. I don't know. I have not looked into the on-chain stuff yet. Probably need to do that at some point. Lark, it could have been worse. He could have, oh my gosh, yeah. Was it that guy doing the pole vault and got it almost perfect, and as Johnson just flapping around in the wind there, man, and took it out. Oh well. 60K or 50K first. I have no idea, Adam. I have no idea. The way the wild volatility in the markets, and I think there's, with all that stuff that's happened recently, if anything else happens, if any bad news happens, I could see the markets getting pretty skittish about it. So I don't know. It's interesting to see where we are right now, but I have no strong opinion on whether it's 50K or 60K first. We'll see. Lark, do you think the bull market will end sooner than we thought? Perhaps November, December this year. We talked about that idea. It's definitely possible with all sort of, again, yield curve uninverting. Hasn't, according to the Fed, we haven't seen it yet. I saw some over the weekend saying I was probably doing that. Anyway, according to the Fed, not yet officially. When the yield curve uninverts, maybe this time is going to be different, right? But since World War II, it has been a clear indicator that when the yield curve uninverts, a recession follows shortly thereafter. Perhaps they print enough money this time to make that not a reality. We'll see. We shall see. If that's the case, and the yield curve uninverts in later in August or September sometime, then you've got, on average, sort of 5 or 6 months till the recession officially hits. So that gives you interest rate cuts, big liquidity injections from the Fed, possibly to bail out Japan. We covered that the Fed's starting a treasury buyback program, all this kind of stuff. So big money coming into the markets. China's printing. M2 money supplies are moving up right now. That could last for months. Take us into a nice end of year rally. Maybe we extend that Q1, March, something like that. Then perhaps a recession comes. Now, again, some people are going to say, well, it's going to be the Great Depression. Every time there's any recession, it's always the Great Depression. It's 2008 repeat. Might just be a shallow recession. But when markets start pumping again, to protect yourself from, having to liquidate bags on bad days and stuff like that, make sure you guys take some profits, right? So if we do get a recession, you're covered. If we don't, you can maintain some exposure to the markets and ride that too. So lots of options there for you. Okay. Ion says the opposite of a longer than expected cycle also is very valid considering all the shenanigans and consolidation we've done so far. That's kind of Bob Lucas's prediction anyway. Maybe. That would actually, I've seen that too. And that's that would be, in a way, and look, think about this from this perspective. The crowd's usually wrong, right? So if everybody's expecting a recession because the yield curve's going to uninvert because of the SAM rule and the Sandler-Piper rule and all this stuff, well, what if it just doesn't happen and inflation stays down, interest rate cuts come, and markets are fine? Or if a very shallow recession comes, and there's an initial bit of, oh my gosh, it's a recession, but then it's not very serious, and the Fed prints money, and blah, 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 and we're out of it in a few months. Short, shallow recessions, possible. They've happened before. They can happen again. No bigger house for Lark. Japan just bailed out the stock market. Any thoughts? Yep. Like we said, it'll be interesting to see how the market more broadly reacts to the Bank of Japan saying, let's wait on interest rate cuts or interest rate hikes. So that'll be interesting to see how that all works out. And that carry trade will unwind at some point. Question is, can they do it slowly? I was reading Arthur Hayes' piece on this, and he was saying, well, if they can do it slowly, maybe things will be okay. Greg says, I appreciate your transparency as far as selling coins the other day. We don't have to agree with your decision. It's all manage portfolios as we see fit. Yep. Sometimes they make tough calls. It's not always the right one, right? And like I said, I'm paying the price for my greed earlier this year. It happens. It's all good. Portfolio still robust. Let's say it's a big one. We're fine, guys. Don't worry. Is the crashing over yet? We shall see. We shall see. I think everybody wants it to be over sooner than it might be. Again, as we discussed in some of those earlier charts, usually when you have this much of an intense sell-off in the markets, it takes a little while to get back to baseline. Everybody wants it to happen ASAP, but it causes a lot of trauma. People will rush to sell on short pumps and stuff like that. I sold my Cardano bag, bought a dog with hat instead. That says a lot about the stage of Cardano at the moment. It also says a lot about the reality of meme coins. I mean, one of the few things that has consistently made money this year, meme coins. Now, early in the year, Bitcoin was pumping. A lot of altcoins did really well. Some gaming coins did really well on the backs of big launches of multi-billion-dollar market cap gaming coins that came out around the time. And then since basically March, maybe early April, most altcoins have gone down dramatically. But not meme coins. Well, I mean, meme coins go down dramatically all the time. That's kind of the meme coin game. But the big money makers in the past 6 months largely been meme coins. It's been pretty crazy. Trump says he's going to do an interview with Elon Musk on Monday night. Oh, that's going to be spicy, isn't it? I'm looking forward to that. Japan did the history's greatest rug pull. The crazy thing is that, as JP Morgan said, there's still a lot of leverage in the Japanese market, right? The big factor is going to be, is the Fed probably already doing, which is why the interest rate hikes look like they could be on hold again. That's what the Bank of Japan said. Probably getting some kind of reassurances from the Fed, because the Fed doesn't want the chaos to unfold, and they probably don't really want a massive market turmoil, potentially recession, all that stuff before the elections, because if the markets are screwed and all that stuff, guess who that's not going to favor? The incumbent. And if you're the incumbent, which is Kamala Harris right now, what you're going to want is economic conditions to be broadly okay, at least. So we'll see. Arthur Hayes, very insightful. Oh yeah, Arthur's got great newsletter. He doesn't send it out very often. When he does, it's worth the read. That's for sure. If you don't get wrecked once in a while, you're not trying hard enough. Amen. You got to take risks in this market. Sometimes they don't work out. Lark. Japan is a ticking time bomb. Monday was just a taste. There's a lot of ticking time bombs in the global economy. A lot of leverage all over the place. And at some point, Japan will unwind that leverage. The only question is, will the Fed help them to do it in a elegant way? Or will it be like this? This was a taste of what happens if a 0.25% interest rate hike caused all that insanity. Think about that. Lark, please let us know when you start buying Solana. I will. I'll let you guys know. I was thinking about pulling the trigger on some today, but I was like, you know what? Just there's gonna be time. There's gonna be time if I buy some. I don't know. I might just double down and buy some more AVAX bags or something. So pretty, like AVAX, like I was saying earlier. We'll see though. We'll see those. They got pretty juicy recently. Part of me though thinks like, do I need to add a new bag? But since Solana's been such a strong coin this cycle, it's crazy. Anyway. Am I not paying attention? This wasn't even that bad. I've only been here since the peak of the last cycle. I think, here's the thing. was a good move down. For perspective, it's not that crazy though. I mean, Bitcoin only went down 30% from the highs for earlier this year, so it's not that crazy, relatively speaking. The question I think that really spooked the markets was how bad could it have gotten? Didn't go there, and of course now it seems the Bank of Japan's backing down, so maybe things will be okay long enough for a bit of a rally later on. So we'll see. Lark, do you think meme coins will rally in a bear market too? Look, during the bear market, there will always be something making money. But when the broad bear market hits for crypto, and this, for all intents and purposes, does not look like it's it yet. Still think we've got a lot of fuel left in the tank here. How far that fuel takes us, that's a different question. And of course, we are very susceptible to whatever the macro world does. Don't think the crypto markets are going to boom if the USA goes into recession, because the USA going into recession drags everything down. Okay. That being said, when the bear market comes, if you have not taken money out of the market, I mean, most of the meme coins that exist right now are going down 99 to 99.99% when the bear market hits. Most of them will lose everything. Okay. Look back at the last market. How far did Dogecoin go down? Went from almost $1 down to a few cents, right? When the bear market comes, the liquidity dries up, and the stuff that is the highest risk suffers the most. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, they're going to go down a lot too in a bear market. Crypto gets slaughtered in bear markets. But meme coins are probably get slaughtered the worst. Now, if there are strong communities, those could be great buys when they're down 99% or 99.999%, because they can always go lower. They can always go lower. Never forget that. Just because it's down 99% doesn't mean it can't go down another 99%. To Germany. Oh my gosh, selling their Bitcoin. Did Germany know about all this? I know we were all clowning on Germany. Guess they didn't do that bad, huh? Who's laughing now? The Germans. Japan can't afford to raise rates. Parity would cost them 12% of GDP in interest payments. Yikes. Yikes. That's crazy. Imagine fading a community. So you must be referring to Kendu. Imagine fading a community so hard you stop reading the super chats altogether instead of realizing their persistent annoyance is amazing. Alpha, we love you. Shout out to the Kendu crew. I see you guys. Super chats or not, I don't necessarily prioritize super chats. I'll try to keep an eye on them. I don't always catch them though. Lot of stuff coming through in the chat. But if you guys are just spamming super chats about one particular coin, I'm not necessarily going to answer those. Okay. I mean, hey, thanks for the super chats, guys. But just keep that in mind. Otherwise, it just becomes okay. Can do, or whatever other meme coin or whatever is in here trying to promote themselves on the day. Okay, it's not what we're doing here. We're trying to answer people's questions and talk crypto, have a nice chat about stuff. So, lots of love, guys. But that's just the way it is. All right. When you stepped into the crypto market, did you do it for the money and or the technology? Look, when I first got into crypto, it was like, holy cow, what is this? And it was really both things, because I started learning about crypto, as somebody who had been like a politics nerd for a very, very long time, and, looked at central banks and all these sorts of things. And I was into this stuff, studied it at school, and learning about Bitcoin. It's very exciting. When you start to understand the potential of the technology, great. And of course, there's lots of other technology. Remember, they did put a hat on the dog now, guys. We are leading edge technology around here. A lot of other stuff's popped up since that time. Okay. But the gains, when they happen, are fantastic in these markets. The money is definitely a fantastic part of the crypto reality. So when you're investing in crypto, and that's a very exciting part of the whole thing for me, you're investing in a technology. The technology is massively disruptive to everything. And there's a lot of bullshit in crypto, a lot of bullshit, huge amounts, mountains of bullshit. But people love making money. Now, some of the casino like aspects of the cryptocurrency markets, like meme coins, of course, people love that stuff. People love speculating on things. The allure of getting rich overnight is very powerful. Okay. So I love the gains that can be had from investing in disruptive technology. Let's put it that way. uh, Why do you like AVAX? I thought AVAX is far from a dead chain. See if people are asking about why do you like AVAX? Far from a dead chain. They have crazy stuff being built over on AVAX. Lots of exciting things being built over on AVAX. Cool games and stuff like that. It's certainly now, to be fair to my AVAX bags, 100% AVAX is not getting the same level of hype as Solana. Again, we talk about this. There's the top tier, right? Base, Solana, particularly top tier, right? Maybe put Telegram up there. Others, Avalanche is probably tier 2 right now in terms of hype and stuff like that. Technology, fundamentals, all that stuff, great. Hype, definitely not Solana levels, obviously. They start going down to tier 3, tier 4, tier 5. Tier 5 is probably, whether you like to admit to yourself or not, the vast majority of those layer 2 governance tokens. Garbage. Thanks for the free airdrops, mind you guys. ZK Sync, thanks for the airdrop, man. I appreciate the free money. But these things aren't fantastic because they don't really do anything. There's no need for them in the network. Oh, what, you're going to go govern the layer 2? Have a good time. Okay. Of course, all the decisions will be made by the VCs, the whales, the team. Your $1,000 of governance tokens will not matter at all. If you're really dedicated on governing, your opinion's probably not going to matter anyway. AVAX, at least, is a essential part of the AVAX chain. It's used for gas. It's got a burn mechanism, all that kind of stuff. So lots of cool stuff happening at AVAX. I like AVAX. I don't use it that much. I guess I do many more things over on Base and Solana. Using Base and Solana probably all the time. Main chain Ethereum sometimes. Prefer not to do very much over there, but sometimes. Okay, one or two more here, guys, and we'll finish up for today. Lark, thoughts on Tectum? Have not heard of it. Wow, okay, I've heard the name, but I have nothing about it. At least do your research in ZK Sync. Look, I like ZK Sync as a network. I've used it a lot. I like Arbitrum as a network. I've used it a lot. A lot. Okay, I got like max airdrop for ZK Sync. And most of that was just me screwing around doing stuff over there. Okay? Doesn't change my opinion on their governance token. Doesn't mean the governance token can't make money at some point. I'm not saying that. Just saying that these pure governance tokens, they struggle to capture value. Look at Arbitrum, man. Arbitrum's been just a lame coin to invest in, to be honest. What's the point? What's the point in investing in the ARB token? I mean, really. There isn't one because there's no demand for it. There's no very, very little use for it on the Arbitrum network. It's almost not used at all in DeFi. You can't use it to pay for gas fees, or I don't think the staking even ever came around. I know that a while ago they were talking about running at least like a 1-year staking incentive program. Now, I haven't kept up super to date with that, but I'm pretty sure it's never even happened. There's no use for it except to buy it and hope that the price goes higher. But then who else is going to buy it? And who are you going to sell it to? Governance tokens, man. Love the network. Again, love Arbitrum. Use it all the time. Love ZK Sync. Linea, probably a similar situation. I've used Linea a lot. Great experience. Governance tokens. me see, one or two more here, guys. I got rocked by Hooters. Didn't see them closing 40 locations. Hooters, oh my gosh. Airdrops aren't exactly free time. This is true. This is true. I feel like most of the airdrops that I participated in earlier this year paid decent-ish dividends, right? Some of the ones that were sort of least expected, like Wormhole, great. ZK Sync was expected, but ended up being pretty good. Layer Zero, I didn't really expect much out of that. Didn't do too much to get it, but got a few $1,000. Fine, great. Some of the ones that I thought would be bigger, like Camino Finance or Parcel, ended up being pretty lame. Let's be honest about it. It wasn't horrific, but pretty lame. So, okay. You know what, guys? I think we're gonna finish up there for lots of great questions for today. Appreciate everyone's time. You guys are awesome, and we'll see you back tomorrow. Peace.